Hi, I'm Taylor with Mom on the Spectrum, and today we're talking about one of my favorite topics, meltdowns. It's one of my favorite topics because it's something that I've learned a lot about recently as a late diagnosed autistic adult. It's helped inform a lot of my decisions about how I care for myself and accommodate myself. And today we're going to be particularly exploring meltdown recovery. So I hope to empower you through today's video with some tools, tips, tricks, resources that you can use to help yourself recover from an autistic meltdown. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. I create resources for autistic adults. If that sounds like something that might be helpful to you or an important person in your life, hit that subscribe button, like this video if it's helpful to you, and I hope to interact with you in the comments. So real quick, what is an autistic meltdown? This is a period of overwhelm. It can be sensory overwhelm, social overwhelm, but it usually leads to feelings of, for me, it's like feeling claustrophobic, shut down. I can't really communicate as well. I feel very overwhelmed. My skin feels itchy, and things that normally aren't hard become very difficult. So it affects my relationships. It affects my ability to get work done. And I really didn't have the words to understand that I've always had these until I started learning more about what they are and how they can present. Everyone's going to experience autistic meltdowns differently, but there are a few signs that might indicate that you're going through a meltdown. That might be crying, that might be wanting to be in isolation to kind of experience whatever you're going through by yourself. It might be a loss of communication, a feeling of overwhelm, feeling of your skin crawling. You might pull inwards towards yourself and notice kind of hunching forward and survival instinct of like protecting yourself. You might start stimming outwardly, you might start rocking back and forth, and just generally feeling shut down. We're not going to spend too much time talking about what meltdowns actually are today. We're going to go ahead and jump right into meltdown recovery. So here are some tips to help move you through your meltdown and into a place of a more regulated state. First of all, once you register that you're in a meltdown, if you're like me, it can kind of take a while until there's this light bulb moment of, oh my gosh, I'm totally dysregulated right now. Once you have that self-realization, do your best to find a safe environment that has as few sensory distractions as possible. So lighting that is not upsetting, quiet, like absence of sounds, absence of people probably, just a place where you feel comfortable. And this isn't always possible. Sometimes you might have to retreat to a bathroom at somebody's house or go out on the patio, but any place where you can feel a sense of privacy and safety. Once you're there, try to experience the meltdown with as little resistance as possible. I know that that can be a little bit scary to think about because sometimes we think when we kind of give in to those feelings of overwhelm that it's going to overtake us. It might, but usually it's not near as long of an experience as we worry it's going to be. Now, that's a generalization. It's not always like that. But you may have heard the saying before, what we resist persists. So if you resist your meltdown and think, oh, I can't melt down right now. I really don't want to feel these emotions. I really don't want to feel whatever's going on. I'm just going to power through. That feeling is going to persist, and you're going to keep feeling that claustrophobic, itchy skin, overwhelm, until you actually allow yourself to feel through that experience. So as soon as you feel like you're in a safe place, just allowing those emotions to move through you, not to get in the way of them, but just to kind of accept whatever is happening in your body. It can be scary. You might want to have somebody with you whenever you start processing this, but if this is kind of a new concept to you, to just embody what's happening rather than shut it down, just give yourself lots of grace and patience as you kind of learn how to navigate that for yourself. You also probably want to put on some comfortable clothes. So that's like a no-brainer for me now. Whenever I'm overstimulated and overwhelmed, I've got to get in something comfortable. My favorite sweatshirt, sweatpants, definitely socks. So comfortable clothing can make a world of difference. Engage in large physical stims. So I did a video recently over stimming. I'll try to put it up here at the top so you can link to it easily. But stimming is kind of a lost art form for many of us, especially who are higher masking, late diagnosed, because we've gotten used to not stimming because it was upsetting to somebody, it was annoying. So we turned to covert stims like picking our nails, biting our lips, lots of different things like that. So it can kind of be a practice of retraining ourselves how to stim. And large physical stims like rocking, dancing, bouncing, kind of jumping on your tiptoes, throwing your weight around, those types of things are all very regulating to your nervous system. And so once you have that self-realization of, oh, I'm kind of in meltdown shutdown, if you can intentionally engage in some physical stims and then mindfully kind of register any changes that take place in your body, I think you'll find that you notice, oh wow, that actually offered some relief. One thing that you can do pretty easily is stand up and just like rock your arms back and forth. This feels pretty nice. Okay? So that's one easy, large physical stim that might be helpful to you. Also, practice slow, mindful breathing. I think a lot of times we want these magical answers of like how to take care of ourselves that nobody's discovered before. But for me, at least, I'm learning that kind of the magical answers are the simplest ones that we all know already. Breathing is one of them. It's just one of the most regulating things we can do. So there's something called a box breath, where you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. And that's something that's pretty easy to remember and do yourself whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, and that can help lower your heart rate and create a greater sense of calm. Also, if you have a longer exhale than inhale, that can lower your heart rate as well. So you could try breathing in for 4 and breathing out for 6. Something like that could slow your heart rate down. You also want to make sure that you're moving your body in a way that feels good. So at the height of your meltdown, that might be in the fetal position in bed, okay, under the covers, under a weighted blanket. But when you start to feel a little bit better, make sure that you're moving your body regularly. It could be taking your dog out for a walk. It could be doing some jumping jacks. It could be light stretching. As long as you're connecting with your body, that is a very regulatory practice. Also, this is one of my favorite tips. Intentionally activate your senses when you're ready to do so. So with meltdowns, we kind of are shutting down because our senses are overwhelmed. Also with anxiety, that usually accompanies meltdowns. Anxiety usually happens when we're worried about something in the past that has already happened that we can't change, or we're worried about something in the future that has not yet happened. So when we intentionally activate our senses in the present moment, because we can only really experience our senses in the present moment, we're taking ourselves out of the past and future. So intentionally activating your senses can be, what do I see right now? Okay, this sounds silly and oversimplified, but I have literally grounded myself. My best friend helped me ground myself through a major panic attack doing this. What do I see right now? And just listing it out. What do I feel right now? I've been in my closet and just like felt different fabrics on my shirts. What do I taste right now if you want to grab a snack that sounds good to you? Anything you can do to engage your senses is going to help ground you in the present moment and help to decrease the anxiety that you feel about being stuck in the past or future. Lighting a candle, taking a bath, all good ideas. Another tip is just total rest. So if you really are shut down, do everything in your power you can to do nothing. And as a mom, I know that that's usually not always possible, right? There's mouths to feed, there are projects to be done for school. It's not always possible, but when you can, do nothing. And like my psychologist told me, do more of what feels good and do less of what doesn't. And so simple, but so profound. If you're in a period of shutdown and you can't brush your teeth, don't brush your teeth that night. I know that this isn't the best medical advice in terms of dental hygiene, but if it's going to cost you, if it's going to push you further into a meltdown to go through the sensory overwhelm of brushing your teeth, just skip it that night and give yourself some rest and try again in the morning. Another thing that might be helpful to learn about would be spoon theory. If that's new to you, I have a video on it that I will link up here and in the description so you can learn about it. But the basic idea is that each day we start the day with a certain number of spoons. And this is kind of an arbitrary number based on your current capacity. I might wake up and have 10 spoons, and that represents the amount of energy that I have for carrying out the tasks and responsibilities that I have that day. Somebody that is non-autistic, allistic, might wake up with 15 spoons. It might cost me 2 spoons to brush my teeth because I'm feeling overwhelmed that day. And so as the day goes on, your spoons disappear, and you have to do things to protect those spoons or engage in like regulatory recovery practices in order to gain more spoons. So it's kind of it's been a helpful way for me to visualize my current capacity. So if that sounds interesting to you, learning more about that could probably be helpful in terms of learning how to communicate your experiences to your friends and family. So those are some of my favorite tips. These are some tips that I share in my Meltdowns webinar. I've got another one that's coming up on Friday, March 31st at 1 p.m. Central. And if you're watching this video after that date, you can check the link in the description for future dates. But the Meltdown webinar is going to cover lots of things, including, let me go back up here. What is an autistic meltdown? How is it different from what others experience? What is happening in our bodies during a meltdown? We talk about the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. How to recognize signs of an impending meltdown, meltdown triggers, how to communicate with loved ones about your experience, and meltdown recovery. So if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, check out the link in the description. I'd love to have you join me for that webinar. It's an hour, and there's a Q&A at the end where you can ask me any questions that you have. And if you'd like more help navigating your own meltdowns and learning more about what they are and how they work, you can check out my Meltdown Survival Guide, which is a 14-page booklet that I've created, and I'll put the link in the description. It covers what is a meltdown, potential meltdown triggers, signs you're in a meltdown, sensory regulation and recovery, helpful products and resources, anticipating future meltdowns, reflection questions for personal growth, and information about the big autistic resource guide. If you are unfamiliar with that, that's another cool resource that I like to mention. So if you'd like to check that out, the link will be in the description. Again, if you're new to the channel, please make sure that you subscribe. There's lots of cool stuff here, lots of incredible people in the community. Comment below with which recovery tips are really sticking out to you, and if you have any of your own that you'd like to add to the list. This is a place where I learn constantly from all of you. So please share your tips with me and like this video if it was helpful to you, and I will see you in the next video. Take really good care of yourself just because you're worth it. Bye.